guys, welcome to We the Demigods Motivational. Today we will be talking about improving our memory. Before we get started, think about all the times you've been told to memorize something. Maybe it was something you needed to memorize for a test in school, or maybe you had to memorize something for a presentation at work. But how many times have you been taught how to memorize? I am going to tell you about improving your memory. We'll be covering a variety of principles and techniques that you can use to enhance your memory. We'll go over the topics including how to remember names, how to remember more about what you read, how to remember presentations, how to remember important dates like birthdays, anniversaries, and historical dates. We'll discuss ways to remember a number of dates and passwords. We'll also go over how memory works and how you can apply specific techniques to enhance your memory in a variety of situations. So with that, let's go ahead and start improving our memory. Now, let's talk about memory principles. There are 4 main principles. The first, repetition. One of the easiest ways to remember anything is through repetition. Think about songs. How do they get stuck in your head? There's probably a song I could put on right now and that you haven't heard in years, but you will remember the lyrics of the song. How does that happen? It's all about repetition. Do you remember a teacher at some point in the past saying the words, "Repeat after me, class"? Teachers know very well the power of repetition. The second, exaggeration. Do you remember how many times a day, how many days are there in a month? Suppose I give you the month August or July or April. Can you tell me the number of days in these months? It's sometimes easy to forget if there are 30 or 31 days in a month. But which month is the easiest to remember? For most people, that would be February. Why? Because February is the one weird month that has only 28 or 29 days. The fact is that the ordinary makes it easier to remember. If something is exaggerated or absurd or just ridiculous, it makes it much more easier to remember. Association. This is our third topic. When someone calls out a name or a date of birth that is same as someone else's in your family, probably this will have a higher chance of recall value, as you can associate this with someone else. The fourth, pictures. Have you ever forgotten someone's name? We all have. But what if you ran into the person later in the week or later in the month? You'd probably remember their faces, right? You might forget their name, but do you easily remember their faces? Why is that? It's because the human brain remembers visual information much better than abstract information. A face is very visual. You can picture it in your mind, which makes it easier to remember. Let's talk about using mnemonic devices. Mnemonic devices comes in a variety of formats. They can be acronyms, rhymes, songs, and can even take visual forms. For example, do you remember which month has how many days? Do you remember that as a child you were taught the hill and valley method, that the hill represents 31 days and the valley represents 30, and you keep going from January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, with the exception of February, of course. This is a mnemonic device and can also be used in the form of rhymes. You can think of mnemonic devices as special techniques or strategies to improve your memory. Creating a mnemonic could take a little bit of mental effort, but this is a smart way to utilize the combined intelligence of the internet. Next time that you have a problem memorizing something, try doing a search for the topic you're trying to memorize. Plus, the keyword mnemonic and the mnemonic devices are most suitable, and you'll be surprised to find that someone else has already created a mnemonic device for the information you need to memorize. Why do we take notes? You might have notebooks upon notebooks of notes and that you have never bothered to refer back to. Was this a wasted effort? According to research, no. This effort of taking notes was not a waste of time. Research actually finds that the very action of taking notes strengthens your memory of that information, even if you have never bothered to look at it again. Now, why is that? It's because the action of taking notes is a form of repetition. Some people already know this and they just naturally know this. They know that if they write something down, they are more likely to remember it. There is no one correct way to take notes, and much of it comes down to your personal reference. Some options might be taking notes in the margins, underlining, or taking notes of your favorite note-taking app. But it's also important to realize that the format of your notes does matter. Have you ever taken notes that ended up looking like a jumbled up mess? It's very difficult to review notes like this. How do you find specific pieces of information? The more organized approach to note-taking is that you may want to consider involving a mind map. Mind mapping is a note-taking technique that helps you visually organize information. The reason why mind maps are so effective at helping you remember things is because they reflect the way your mind works much better than linear-based notes like outlining. Outlines put information in a specific order, but not all topics are meant to be presented in a linear fashion. Outlines are great for sequential information like history, but most topics are non-linear. For example, the topic of physics. We could talk about Isaac Newton's law of motion, or Einstein's theory of relativity. Or we could talk about quantum mechanics, or electromagnetism. All of these topics are very much related to physics, but they do not have a set order. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? How about the ABCD or a nursery rhyme? You know these songs. It helped you remember the alphabet. You learn the alphabet as a song because it's easier that way. In fact, research shows that text associated with music is much more easily remembered when it is learned as a song than when it is learned as a speech. Rhymes. Aside from songs, another powerful way to remember something is by using rhymes. Rhyming utilizes your auditory memory strength. If I say the name Bob, you can probably come up with a few words that immediately rhyme with this word Bob. Rhyming, rhythm, and repetition can all aid with memory. If you need to remember something, rhyming it can be an easy way to retrieve it from memory. Stories. The human mind is wired to remember stories. In fact, before many ancient old books were written, they were shared as oral traditions or stories through the generations, like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Why is that? It's because the authors know that their readers are more likely to remember information if it is presented in a story-like fashion. If you need to remember a specific set of details, you may want to try memorizing it in the form of a story. Try off with the classic once upon a time and then add any information you want within the story. Doing so will help you memorize this. Do not forget to exaggerate because exaggeration also helps in memorizing things. Just imagine you are in a classroom full of students or you meet so many people in a conference room. How do you think you will remember all these names? It is difficult, and I am sure that there will be some point in your life where you meet another person who knows your name and you do not know their name. Let's see how we can overcome this. We can overcome this by paying attention, by repeating the name. You might want to repeat it by saying, "Nice to meet you," and their name. When the person walks away immediately, quiz yourself to see if you can remember their name. Quiz yourself here and there throughout the day, and you'll find that it gets easier each time because of repetition and the mental effort it takes to recall the name. Make connections to the name. Getting into the habit will help you associate a new name to someone you already know or some celebrity. Imagine the celebrity standing right next to the person, and then you can correlate their names. You will be using visualization and location to remember that person's name. Linking the first impression of a person with their name. For example, if there is someone named Ali and she comes off as very energetic, you can repeat to yourself, Ali is energetic, Ali is energetic, and then you will recall these names. One other idea is to keep a record, a small diary or a notebook to keep the names of a person. Now, we're going to discuss a reading strategy. This will allow you to remember more of what you read. This 3-step method is as follows. Step 1. Read the introduction and conclusion of your text. Step 2. Read all the headings and bold-faced words of your text. Step 3. Read the entire content. Think about the way most people read. A lot of people simply start from the beginning and read in a very linear fashion to the end. But you don't have to read all the information this way. In fact, reading this way is a part of the reason why people read slowly. If you don't know what to expect from the material, you're going to have to read it slower. Imagine the alternative. If you start by reading the intro and conclusion and then proceed to read the headings and the first sentences, think about the advantage you have. When you start reading the material, you could naturally be able to move a little faster through the whole content. Look at all the repetition going through this process. These 3 steps are purposefully set up to provide you with increased repetition during the reading process. If you get a chance, you can even tell a story to someone, and this will help you to remember it better because it involves repetition. Strong passwords have a combination of upper cases and lower cases along with numbers and special characters. But most people avoid creating tough passwords because they find it difficult to remember them. This video will show you a simple way to create a strong password that you can easily remember. Here's how the strategy works. You come up with a short phrase that you can easily remember. Let's take the following example. Hi, my name is Suhani and I am a motivational speaker. Can you remember this phrase? From this short phrase, we can generate the following password. At first glance, you might not be able to make sense of this because sense of all this madness. All you're doing is taking the first letter of each word and also including punctuations while making sure that you're case sensitive. Try coming up with your own phrases right now. See if you can do what we just did here. I'm sure you'll find it pretty easy to create another password. Remembering important dates can be made much easier by coming up with rhymes. One very popular rhyme that you may already be familiar with is about a voyage of Christopher Columbus in 1492. The rhyme goes like this. In 1492, Columbus sailed to the ocean blue. Rhymes like this still require a little bit of rehearsing, but they make it much easier to remember dates. Here are some other examples. Imagine the Civil War of 61. Soldiers struggling with a gun that is covered in honey, a sticky gun. So again, 61, sticky gun. Now let's look at the periodic table ones. हीना, नीना और करीना का एक्सरे रंगीन. फिर कल बाहर आई आंटी. उससे टेपो. No problem as सब बढ़िया. कहे शिव जी सुने पार्वती. बाल गंगाधर in तिलक. Now let's look at this side. हेलिना का रिबन किसने फाड़ा? बेचारा मांग कर सो रहा है बाद में रोया. So all these rhymes and these techniques help you to memorize numbers and dates. Where do we go from here? On a weekly basis, you meet new people. Use the techniques we went over to remember their names. I'm sure you probably read things on a daily basis. Don't forget to apply the memory techniques we covered to improve your retention of the material. Remembering principles include the following, like repetition. You'll remember something better if you rehearse it and test yourself on it. Exaggeration. We all remember things that are most easily out of the ordinary. Association. We easily remember things that we can associate other things with or pictures. The human mind is very good at picturing information and remembering those visuals. Always try to picture something in your mind and to remember it more effectively. Do like and subscribe to this channel, and if you like this video, do not forget to give it a huge thumbs up. Thank you for watching.